spawned on in, and we see Dunder here on the nurse against this survivor team, and we are on, if I'm not mistaken, the Wrecker's Yard. Is that correct?
I do believe so, and honestly, Guildspire, do my eyes deceive me? Are we blessed with no screen sharing on Nurse?
No screen sharing on Nurse, so we do get to enjoy the killer's POV, as Nurse did see the Atom here just moments ago. We do see scratch marks making their way back towards the shack, though it looks like Nurse not able to identify which survivor this is as of yet, as they are making their way towards the edge of the map. Nurse in hot pursuit, going back to the pocket. This survivor doing a great job of just leading the Nurse by their nose, and it looks to be the Nancy here on the edge.
Yeah, really good job from the Nancy, just hiding in the pocket. Do my eyes deceive me? Is that a discordance?
That is, in fact, the discordance that we're seeing. So we are aware of at least 2 perks here in this match, that there being a corrupt intervention and a discordance, which we have seen on Nurse a couple times before. Still a little bit surprised that it is not a dying light, I will say.
True. Discordance. What are the other ones? We've seen Thrilling Pop. We've seen Discordance. We've seen Dying Light. Yeah, I love the little spice that we're seeing now that Agitation's gone, and Adam going to be the first one being sent to the hook here, as we are also aware that is Fragile Wee's, is it not? As well as Badman's.
Yep, Fragile's Badman's Last Breath, and we do see a Thrilling Tremors here as well.
The good old Thrilling Tremors telling the Nurse where to potentially land a pop, goes the Weasel, and yep, that will be a pop as well. So build kind of in the open, but let's face it, what are you gonna do? It's the Nurse. It's Wrecker's Yard. Get 4 gens done and cry a little bit? Like, I don't know. I think Tremor's got a... Oh, to be fair, it's a mirror. So both these Survivor teams have a hard-fought battle here, potentially.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting to say the least, as we don't really see Nurse on Wreckers all too often. They are better fit for maps like Cold Tower, Dead Dog Saloon, where they get a little bit more utilization out of the ability to, blink up to vertical spaces in a moment's notice. That being said, Nurse going to be sitting here next to the hook here. 1 gen completed so far, and only a few seconds away before the survivor does progress to second stage, with no sign of any saviors in sight.
Yeah, but to be fair, usually letting the survivor go to second stage is pretty common here, I would say, and I imagine for the price of that survivor, we'll see another gen, maybe even a 3rd gen firing off. And yeah, we see Ace in the distance. Will they take the blink, or are they going to go somewhere else? Ace does get pushed up, but there's at least 2.5 pistons on it. Nurse going to commit to the blink, and that will be a tag around the corner. They only need 1 charge up. Is this going to be a double tap?
It's looking like the Nurse on point as we see the Ace go down. We do see that unhook on the Atom. It looks like Nurse will be content with the slug out and will actually be going for the tunnel out, it looks like, though no sign of the Atom. We see the scratch marks make way back towards Shack, but no blood trail following, meaning that this is very likely the unhooker and not the Atom that the Nurse is chasing.
It's a very good point. Also, I mean, Atom... I don't know if we checked. They could have Lucky Break, and they might have just skedaddled into the middle of nowhere. We also didn't see a For the People either. So, Adam, did they go corner? Oh, they spooked him. There's the... Wait. Oh, my goodness. This is lights out for Adam. Oh, no.
Yeah, that is a very early tunnel out here for the Nurse, as 1 survivor will be sent back to campfire via the Entity, resulting in a 3v1 scenario at 2 gens completed, 3 gens remaining. So these survivors are going to be very careful here, as the next down and hook is going to put them in a very rough position.
True. Also worth noting is that, yeah, this gen over here was Thrilling Tremored, so Ace wasn't over here. They were resetting. And honestly, this gen and the one next to Fun Bus is a really tight gen setup. And you got one at main. I think this is the 3-gen Nurse is going to try and hold on to.
Yeah, that would make the most sense. At the same time, Nurse just has a lot of time to work with. They think they saw something there at the T-wall. Not sure what they saw, though, as they're just kind of looking around this 3-gen here, trying to identify where these fires might be. They do find what looks to be the Nancy here at the truck. Nancy not going to double back, though, holding W instead. I think the Nurse was hoping that they're going to try and hold that corner, but Nancy being just a little bit wiser here, ends up holding W over to the pocket. Wondering if they did interrupt this gen, and does not look like a lot of progress is on that gen, if any. And Nancy's going to continue to edge map. Kind of same thing that we saw earlier, but Nancy taking an earlier hit this time round as they do make their way back towards the shack.
She's lucky break. That's why they lost him the first time. Okay. Yeah, Nancy, oh my goodness. Oh, they almost made it back to that pocket, but the Crows giving them away around the corner, and this will, yeah, lucky break running out. This will end up being a tag here at the corner pocket. However, if Ace and Nia went back to the gen that the Ace was working on, they could possibly finish it. Or do you split here? Do you split gens? That was not the one they were working on.
Yeah, it's not the one they're working on, which does raise some concerns, I imagine, for the Nurse, especially as we don't see any entity blockers from the Thrilling Tremors. That might be 2 gens popping off there, leaving 1 remaining. These survivors bringing things back into their favor, even a 3v1 scenario.
Absolutely. Not to mention, I think Nancy might have gotten... Well, no, she had Lucky Break. You don't pair Lucky Break with Deliverance. I was about to say, so who has the deli? Is it Nia, maybe?
It's hard to say. It's also possible that it may have been the Atom. We'll have to wait and see if Deli is still in play. That being said, not going to go for the Ace. Instead, going to be kind of falling back over towards the unhook.
Yeah, they still have a 3-gen between here and where Nancy's hooked the middle, center gen at Shack, as well as the... what is that? Is that a dump truck? Is that a dump truck?
It's a truck at the very least.
Okay. But yeah, they do have a 3-gen to still hold on to a degree here. Survivors did a really good job using that chase with Nancy to really bang out the gens here. Firecracker went down, but it will take a tag here. I don't know if Ace is going to be able to make him for second stage hits. That was a long way away, and they were zoning him pretty hard. Nia, however, in dire straits, they do get the unhook on... Oh, that was so close. They get the unhook on Nancy, and they're going to have to work through the mangled status effect, as Fragile Wheeze is kind of brutal, not going to lie.
Yeah, it really is, to say the least. That being said, Nia will end up going down, and looks like this will be the pick for the Nurse. That being said, Survivor does get the reset here on the Nancy. These Survivors trying to go slow but surely here to try and get this last gen and power the Exegates.
I mean, you have to against Nurse. Also, that gen actually has a decent amount of progress, but with Pop in hand, I imagine it's going to do a little bit of a number. Yeah, Survivors were still working on this gen up until the last possible second here. And now... do they double up on a gen? Like, we haven't seen Discordance fire in a hot... Actually, yeah, I forgot. We knew about Discordance, so we knew that they were on separate gens earlier. Oh. Caster's curse again.
Discordance does give a bit of information. It's not the best perk, in my opinion. I think there's an argument to be made that with a Dying Light instead, they may have actually been able to save that gen. But Disco does get a little bit of information here and there.
Fair enough. But with that said... they did get a hook kind of next to the generators. I think that's what Nia was trying to do, is they were trying to get as far away from this 3-gen setup, so, you know, Nurse had to come all the way back, and you can't... is that Deli or Renewal?
I believe we'll have to wait and see. I'm thinking maybe a Renewal, but we'll have to see here as Nancy once again in chase. Let's see if Lucky Break does grant them a little bit of distance here in this chase. Though looks like it has not been replenished, so it would appear that Nurse will in fact drop chase. We see the Disco in the distance. Nurse concerned about the gen, and looks like we did see both Nia and Ace running away from that generator, trying to get a little bit of distance early on. Nia here a bit further in. I imagine Ace going to be backing off to the gen to try and complete it during this chase, but Nia going to be going down here, I think.
Yeah, despite the fact that that was Renewal, so they did have it, but... ultimately, and they did get a little bit of distance. Why? Discord is in the distance, though, on the pocket gen that Nancy was next to. Survivors are doing some work. They've got the split pressure, but they have to finish before Nurse gets over there and pops it.
Yeah, that is
how much
the
progress do they
question
have
of the day. We see one Survivor leaving off, and it looks like Ace acting as a bit of bait, but Nancy dropping off too. And looks like the Nurse going to be hot in pursuit, that there is going to be the down.
Yeah, that gen also does have a ton of progress. I don't know if Nurse is going to go for... they're going for this generator instead. I guess they're more worried about this one. To be fair, both of the generators have a good amount of progress on them, so Survivors have definitely split the pressure up. And again, you go to the far side of the map, you die corner, and you give your 2 Survivors a really good chance of finishing. I'm also wondering... the heals are pretty good despite the mangle status effect. I'm guessing it's a will make it.
I'd imagine so. I'd be surprised if it weren't. That being said, I mean, there's also body knowledge, there's desperate measures, there's a whole lot of healing perks available to these survivors, to say the least. That being said, survivors still in a bit of a uncomfortable position here. They're rallying back for quite a long while, but now Pop goes the Weasel, now the Hook in the 3-gen, things are looking quite grim.
Yeah, this is going to be quite difficult indeed. Also, I'm still not used to the Nurse chase music, but Nia coming over to try and start working on the gen. I guess if you've got 2 gens that are on either side of the hook, you might be able to do something. Oh, but Nia taking a tag. Nurse doing a very good job with a very precise blink there. Ace is going to come in for the unhook, but it might be a hook trade.
Yeah, looking like it is. No, it's not going to be. Nurse unable to get the hit there for the hook trade. Ace getting a little bit of distance here and enough to avoid the blink strike.
But to say, now you're in a pickle. Nia, you know, is back on the gen at the truck here. They're going to pre-run, calling it out. This might be the break survivors needed to try and crawl back into this game, but... Oh, man, this 3-gen is super tight. And they do catch a survivor in this corner. This is not where you want to be. This is a dead zone. Also, I just noticed there's no pallet back here. There's absolutely nothing.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing back there. I mean, Nancy's been making it work for them, to be fair, but it's not going to work forever. And looks like we are going to see the Nurse trying to do a blind blink there, but just unable to get the distance that they need to get the hit. And I think Nurse, realizing that too, going to be dropping Chase. We do see additional scratch marks here, this time not from the Nia. Instead, we see what appears to be the Nancy once again. But Nurse getting a little bit impatient here on these blink strikes. They're really precise, really patient previously, but as the match has gone on, they're starting to kind of lose their grip a little bit, it feels like.
I mean, it's hard not to let nerves get to you, right? Ooh, trying to go for a fancy flick there, but Nia not committing enough for it to work out. And you see scratch marks from probably the Ace, if not maybe even Nancy coming back to this generator. And a decent amount of progress to boot on as well, at least 2 cylinders. Yeah, this is where the callouts are just coming in super clutch. As soon as a Nurse makes any kind of decision, you get a callout to pre-run and leave. However, they are going to cut Ace off here. If they can land another blink here and get it down, might be able to start pulling this back into their favor. But survivors actually have a good bit of pressure.
Yeah, not to mention, we just saw the noise notification of Discord and speaking that these 2 survivors are on the gen. The 5th gen is completed. X-Gates now powered 20 seconds before these survivors are able to escape via the exit gates.
Oh, and we know that there's no endgame perk whatsoever. Which survivor has the most points now? I don't know who has the stages left. Is it Ace? Is Ace Death Hook? You don't want to hook them then.
Yeah, if we're looking at the scorecard as we speak right now, we do see that Ace is actually fresh. It's only Nancy and Nia on Death Hook. So Ace is the perfect one to be chasing right now. They need to get this down. They need to get it quick. We see the Nancy and Nia out of the X-Gate securing 2 points on the escape here for the survivors. Ace doubling back, that looked like, and Nurse trying to get them down before they can get back to Shaq, but there it is. And that there will be the 2K, I believe, 10 hook here for the Nurse. But survivors with some escapes, I mean, that alone is huge. As we say all the time, it's not about how many survivors you get escape through the exit gate, it's how many gens you complete. But they were able to do that and then some. So these survivors definitely setting up their Nurse on the mirror match in a very good position.
Absolutely. I think you had it. Yeah, the nerves started to get to... It's hard, right? Like, this is the bronze match. This is a technically precise killer, and you've got to be... They were making great blinks for the longest time, but yeah, the nerves started to say, oh my goodness, you absolutely called it. Guildspire, I'm curious. I've never seen Osaka play Nurse. It's always been
I want to say we've seen Osaka play Nurse, but it's definitely not common. That being said, Osaka is going to need to get quite the high number of kills here. We're looking for a 3K11 hook in order for Tremor to walk away victorious here in set number 1.
Indeed. Also, I just realized we had Thrilling Tremors last game, and we didn't make the joke that Tremor had Thrilling Tremor, but... Anyway, regardless, that is going to be first hook coming in for the killer here. And we do now know of that perk that you mentioned before, the Dying Light.
Funny enough, Savara's actually aware of it right off the bat, as the Obsession does get that
True.
buff of the 33% heal speed increase. That being said, the non-Obsession now going to be slowed down by 3% on healing, gen progression, and more. And that is actually all 4 perks revealed right off the bat, that which being a Dying Light, Thrilling Tremors, Corrupt Intervention, and a Pop Goes Weasel, which we did see there on that gen in main.
Indeed, and just checking around the edges, making sure that no easy unhook's gonna occur, checking all the spots. Honestly, for how quick this first hook was, this seems to be the optimal play. Don't even bother like messing around with gens too much. Just make sure no survivor comes in here unscathed. Never mind. Hello, Nancy, with that sprint burst. No, they got. Oh, that's gonna be a hook trade. No, they're not even going for the hook trade. Can they stop the deli from happening?
Yeah, looks like that's exactly what the Nurse trying to do. Nancy trying to body block there. Nurse going to go for the swing, but not able to get the hit.
Oh no, that is going to. I'm about to say, if you could deny the deli play, that's gonna be huge. But the body block from the Nancy getting just enough distance. Oh my goodness. Yeah, second hook incoming. Do you think this is decisive? Could there be?
Based on the fact that they're not the Obsession, I would have said no, but the answer is yes. That'll give the tap just a few more seconds up off the ground, and that there will be the second hook here, but not the second stack of Dying Light. This is actually kind of huge.
True.
Because now if the Nurse goes for the tall out, that means a 4th perk is basically taken out of the game.
Oh, I didn't even recognize that. Yeah, absolutely decisive. Switching the Obsession there is kind of huge. Also, didn't see the Dead Hard. I'm wondering if they are maybe holding off. Again, there's that eternal mind game of the Nurse probably knows you have Dead Hard. Do you wait it out a little bit and then, also not go for it? But 2 gens down for 2 stages. Survivors are fighting back tooth and nail right now. Oh my word.
Yeah, they're definitely in a very good position here. We see a Survivor coming over towards the unhook. Nurse is trying to hold this bottleneck here, trying to keep an eye out on any Survivors making their way over towards the unhook as well. We saw one on the right side of Shaq. Now Nia on the left side as well. Nurse kind of caught between a rock and a hard place here as they want to guard this hook, as there's only about 20 seconds left before they do progress to death and are sent back to Campfire via the Entity.
True. Also worth noting is that, to be fair, all 3 survivors are slowed down by 3% at the moment. So, the only survivor that's getting any bonus is Dash. But Nancy coming in for the unhook here. Will they go for the hook trade? No. Oh, she gets the body block. That's huge.
Yeah. Once again, Nancy just securing that. We do see the endurance stats effect there. The reason why we may have not seen the Dead Hard, by the way, is because of that BT hit that we saw off the first unhook, which means that you cannot Dead Hard.
No.
You do see the flashlight body coming in, but not soon enough. The angle just not there, as Tap will be going back to the basement and will be going back to Campfire as well.
But I say that would have been a clutch flashlight save, but unfortunately, that is 1 survivor down. However, what generator setup do the survivors have left here? Pop in hand, heading over to the generator. A couple pistons firing. It's not going to be the fullest pop that we've seen. And we got 1 Shack. Nurse does have a pretty good gen setup, and they were hooking almost the entire time within that gen setup. So unless you snuck a survivor back into that pocket gen somehow, survivors have their work cut out for them. Definitely.
They really do. It's a 3v1 scenario. I will say it's a bit better than what we saw before. We saw a 3v1 scenario with 3 gens remaining. Now it's only 2 gens remaining. Only 1 person is out of the match right now. We do see Nia taking a hit there, trying to make their way over towards the fun bus. And looks like they are going to hold W there and will just barely avoid that blink strike. Looks like Nurse going to be going for the chase even still, though. And Nia is going to be holding W, trying to make their way around here. Will take it down at the pallet, though.
Yeah, really good job from this Nia, wasting as much time as possible. Worth noting, survivors also, I would assume, have the deli in pocket here, which is going to be a really big bonus for them going forward. We do see Thrilling Tremors on the gen that Nia was working on. However, looks like the pocket gen is probably getting worked on. Maybe even the Shack gen as well. Nurse heading back here. Again, there's no discordance, so we don't know how many survivors are back on this generator. Good amount of progress.
Sounds like I was about to say, the gen has a bit of progress here. No sign of survivor, though. We do see that unhook on the Nia, and that there will be another Pop Goes Weasel regressing that gen by 30% of its current progression. We see what looks to be a pretty standard heal there. Noah will make it our botany knowledge to help that Nancy out. And looks like we do have the ace here on this gen. Scratch marks right behind the dumpster. Nursing the 2 will get the blink strike and trying to go for a follow-up hit there. Gonna go for that long blink. Ace just holding W, but will not get far enough as they will end up going down.
But I say they did have lucky break, but unfortunately for our ace, it was not the luckiest of breaks, and that Nurse was able to track them just long enough to get that second blink strike. However, Nia over here, I'm wondering if the Nancy might have headed back to the gen that Ace was on, but now you got Pop in hand. Going for this gen instead of the one in the pocket. Where's Nancy? Is she on the gen?
I'd imagine that is the case. Yeah, sure enough. Nancy on the gen. Nia, though, here at Shack. Nurse going for the swing, not able to get the hit. Going to drop that pallet just in case. Unable to get the stun, though. And looks like this is going to be Nancy pushed off this gen here. And going to be getting a little bit of early distance, sitting at the pallet just in case for a stun, but not able to make it happen, as instead they will take the hit, and we will see the unhook there on the ace.
So I say, I think that's the smartest play for the Nurse. You know that Survivor is the most likely to have Deliverance. You don't want to commit to it. Get a tag. Make any kind of play they have really sluggish, as they have to go for a reset first. Obviously, we do have Fragile Wheeze once again in play. Just, honestly, I don't know if we've seen a Nurse game this season without Fragile Wheeze. It's just such a good add-on.
Yeah, I mean, it basically gives you a 5th perk, so it makes a ton of sense, to be honest. That being said, we thought initially for a long while about taking that away from the Nurse, but with the Nurse and looking at the, regular season, Nurse just isn't doing what she used to do. She's like sitting at a 3-kill average, and that's if you take out some of the rougher games. The rougher games have her at like a 2.8 kill average. So she's definitely not in her glory days.
Speaking of glory days, these Survivors might be in their glory days. There are 3 different generators within this 3-gen that are going off. However, they do find Ace in the corner here. They are going to go down in the pocket. But I don't... If you go for a hook here, I think at least 1 gen pops, potentially.
I mean, very likely we see that gen that the Nia is on. I think the Nia kind of thinking that the Nurse is going to make their way immediately to them. Sure enough, this gen about to pop, though. They are going to have to leave early as Nancy is currently injured. Pop goes Weasel. Nia coming in for the unhook, wasting no time whatsoever. And looks like we will have the Nurse cut off the ace, though. But the question is, can the Nurse ignore the Nancy and the Nia as their 2 gens primed and ready for the exit gates to get powered?
But to say, really good job. Oh my goodness. A little bit of a misblink there, but it worked out in the favor of the Nurse. And I don't know, do you commit to Nia? I don't think you can. I think you have to push Nancy off this gen. Nancy already pre-leaving. Despite these Survivors being injured the way they are, they have so much pressure. Nia caught back here again in the pocket, running corner. But if you go for the Survivor, Nancy finishes their gen.
Yeah, and sure enough, there is another misfire on the blink. We see the down on the Nia. Nancy getting closer and closer to completing the gen, but Nurse blinking back.
But I say Ace got the gen that they were working on done. This gen's primed and ready. Survivor's looking to have 5 gens done, and you've still got Deli. This is huge. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is a really difficult position for the Nurse to be in.
I don't know how you hold this out. I guess what hook stage is Nia? Is Nia, are they second hook? Can you afford to let them bleed out just to make sure that they don't? I don't know here. This is tough.
You're between a rock and a hard place. Nia's gonna be crawling away slowly but surely. You can't exactly do much to stop them either. We see the ace now in chase, but that is going to mean that the Nancy able to be on the remaining gen. Ace doing the entity's work as well, evading the Nurse, and here's the Nancy about to complete. Not sure if there's an adrenaline in play. We see the pickup and the down, but this will give the Survivors enough time to complete the gen.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, second hook coming in for the Nia. There's the adrenaline on the ace as well. That was all planned. Second hook coming in, and Nurse does see Ace already on an exit gate. The exit gates are kind of close. You can see and monitor, but obviously Nurse has to commit to a blink. Yeah, you have to go for this Nancy. Nancy needs to get hooked. Let the Nia, let the ace out. That's the tie condition. Get Nancy. Oh,
yeah,
man.
If Nancy does escape by any means, exit gate or the hatch, that there will be victory for Tremor here, or actually for Aeternum here in set number 1. That being said, we see scratch marks. That there is the Nancy caught out. We see the Nia unhooked by the ace. I imagine they're going to try and sacrifice themselves for the Nancy. Sure enough, there's the ace. There's the Nia coming in. There's the flashlight to try and stop the nurse from blinking. Nancy, though, doubling back, I think, towards Shaq.
But I say, here's the problem. She has deliverance, most likely. So, can you even really go for a hook? You gotta slug her, and then hope that she also doesn't have Unbreakable active, and then force it, like, yeah, you put him in the basement, or put it as far away as possible. You double tap. I think there's still an exegate play here, potentially. You heal up the Nia, you both take body blocks. Oh my goodness, this is one of the most intense end games I have seen this season.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one, that is for sure. And the fact that we don't see both of the survivors escaping via the exegate tells us all that we need to know. That being said, right now they only have, I believe, 3 hook states to give, so they need to be very careful, very methodical here. For if they're not, that could end in the worst case scenario here for these survivors and giving away a potential victory.
True. I mean, you would imagine the survivors know that they can get the out for both of them, and they... I think you play aggressively. I think, especially if you have Deli on Nancy, which at this point, yeah, there's the deliverance. There's the out on Nia. Ace probably near the exit gate or nearby. What's the plan here?
Yeah, they can't go for the hatch play as Nurse just kind of sitting there. We see them up on the hill trying to define where the Nancy is. Nancy trying to go for the chase of their life. They're trying to make their way towards the exit gate to the best of their ability.
Also, that exit gate, that timer's ticking down. Oh my goodness, that was a phenomenal projection blink. Ace is around. He's ready for a body block. But do you make it out in time?
Yeah, it's looking like it. Nurse in hot pursuit, but will get the down there. I mean, even if a 4 to people, it wouldn't matter, right?
I don't think so. And yeah, Ace is going to get chased out here as you do not want to risk, like you said, giving them the win condition by accident. The tie condition has been secured. This is second hook coming in, and that will be a tie set number 1. And honestly, oh my goodness, that was intense. Worth noting, we can reveal this now. Nancy had the for the people. So there was unfortunately no chance of Ace coming in and for the people. That would be absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, no, that would have been insane to say the least, especially if, like, for example, they had Soul Guard as well. But that would have been the stars aligning for those survivors.
Ever to this game. I love this killer so much. I don't love the frame shearing. We're going to be switching on over here, folks.
Yeah, it's one of those strange things. The Singularity, much like the Twins, has screen shearing on the killer, but not the biopods for whatever reason. That being said, seeing the denied requisition form as per usual, a tried and true staple here with the Soma family photo as well, which does slow down that EMP progression by 30 seconds, though we see these survivors jumping right onto those EMPs. Honestly, with Corrupt Intervention, the way this map is set up in Suffocation Pit, it makes a ton of sense just sit on EMPs at start, play it nice and slow, let Corrupt tick down, and set up for a potential EMP rotation on this first chase.
Makes the most sense. There's the teleport onto the David here. Getting to first chase really, really quickly. I love how much data we have from this season. It's going to be so fun to see what changes come into the, the qualifiers of next season. But they do get the pallets done there. EMP coming in from the Nia. An absolute godsend for the Survivor. And looks like they're going to break off chase and go after the Nia here instead.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Nia now without an EMP in hand. We see all survivors without the slipstream applied to them, so they're in a really, really strong spot here. We now even see Nia take enough time to cleanse a totem, and Ace now setting back up with another EMP. And we do see Tap here on top of hill. I imagine a balanced landing in hand, and sure enough, here it is, that extra distance gain. We do see the Singularity will apply slipstream to Tap. I imagine we'll see a survivor coming up the EMP. But before they are able to, we see the overclock and slipstream come into play, and another one as well as we go into Shaq. Tap's gonna have to drop this pallet, yeah.
Yeah, really good job there. They do get the Killer blind as well. We do see that there is a sloppy butcher on the server as they are mangled and hemorrhaged. Coming around the edge, really good use of the overclock here and swinging through it. Oh my goodness. This tap is absolutely a daredevil, not taking any chances, going into the corner of the map. I think they are getting prepared to maybe let themselves go to death here. Yeah, that'll be first down coming in. But we see 3 survivors in the distance on separate generators. Oh man, we might see an absolute world of hurt here for the Singularity potentially.
I mean, based on the length of chase, I imagine we're going to see upwards of 2 gens. No, all 3 gens currently at 50%. A Scourge Hook Pain Resonance coming in as well, regressing the most progressed gen by 25%. I mean, we're going to see probably at least 2 gens pop off unless these chases take place next to these gens. I mean, Survivor's in a good spot. Singularity trying to get a read on where these Survivors are. Does get the Slipstream applied to all 3 Survivors. I mean, that is going to be a difficult thing for these Survivors to rally back from, especially as I do not see any EMPs in hand.
True, they've been trying to work on these generators for a long time, not giving any EMPs thoughts here. As looks like Nia with the light is going to be able to get over to Ace. Looks like David taking chase now at the main building. First gen coming down as I imagine. Let's see, Ace probably on the generator here. Ace gonna have to rotate and try and finish off these generators as David makes this chase extend as long as possible. Well, without being slipstream, they've got a good chance of making this extended.
Yeah, no, absolutely, especially as we do see a lucky break come into play. No overcome, though, I do want to mention, though.
True, good point. And yeah, getting slipstreamed, Ace is gonna have to work to break this. However, oh man, that was really close call there for the Ace. About to take a hit. Looks like Nia did reset the tap here. There's again, just such quick reaction times. This killer is so macro and micro intensive. There's the overclock coming in. However, sorry, overdrive. I think they can overclock. It's fine. It's fine.
It is in fact overclock along with that slipstream, though. Looks like the Singularity will have drop chase with the Ace. We see the Survivors here setting up for a reset on them, though will share that slipstream between the 2, and looks like Singularity coming in for a kick of that gen. Will let you know, though I'm not sure if it was up, that they do in fact have a Pop Goes the Weasel, able to regress those gens by 30% of its current progression.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Pain Res and Pop is pretty much a standard combo at this point, I would say, for the killer. We see most killers that are allowed to have Pain Res bring the combo in. It makes the most sense, right? It's just solid regression all the way around. Slipstream coming in on the Nia. Looks like Tap going to be working on Generator. Ace coming in to blow up both of them, however. Trying to get a beat on the Survivor, and it's just not coming through here. Ace running around the sides. Looks like take a tag at the pallet, yeah. Also, I just realized we don't have audio for the... Like, some of the audio bits are missing.
When that happens, it's because it's between slipstreams. Just switch back to Singularity real quick, and then back to Survivor. We should be good to go.
Okay, yep, there's the... Oh.
Yeah, and Singularity doing a good job finding the Ace with the Soma family photo. Will keep that distance, and this here will be a down. Ace trying to jump into the locker, forcing a pick. We'll note that these gens that were about 50% before, far below it now. And I don't know if Ace has been hooked here. And if not, this might be a Scourge Hook Pain Resonance on David's gen. It's going to be close here, folks. But David will complete it in time. 2 gens down for these Survivors as Singularity will get them up on hook. And Nia about 50% here on the main generator.
But I say they've got a pretty good job doing the split here. I've been trying to keep track of where the gens are, but I think they've got a good gen split based on Singularity and the Deja that we saw earlier. Yeah, they've got 2 different generators on either side of the map being split here, and everybody's just jamming away on gens. I think the Survivors are in a really good spot.
Yeah, no, absolutely, especially as the Ace currently on hook has only been on hook for the first time here, so they have time to let them hang. If the Singularity wants to camp this, I imagine the Survivors are more than happy to allow them to, as that would give them all 3 remaining gens. However, Tap now in chase. Singularity with the attempted slipstream, unable to get it on them in time. And looks like they are going to be trying to cut them off here. Will successfully do so, getting the biopod and the slipstream as well. Singularity trying to imagine to overclock here to get the pallet break, but Tap, as we've seen before, very patient.
Yeah, really good job there. They didn't go for the EMP, and it looks like they're trying to teleport onto them. There's the teleport. However, there is a balanced landing, which is going to get them a whole bunch of distance. Third generator going down as well. And Tap just wanting to take as much time away and take the attention here. They do get the pallet stun as well. Tap looking into the stars, saying, that was a great pallet stun, thank you. And looks like they're going to break off entirely. They don't want to take this chase anymore. Singularity in a bit of a pickle here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially as Survivor's now getting time to pick up these EMPs, making these chases that much more difficult. Nia about 70% through this generator here. I imagine going to not really get all too interrupted with the Singularity over on Shaq's side right now. Meaning that we're going to be down to one generator remaining before these exit gates are powered, and the Survivor's 20 seconds away from escaping via the exit gates.
But to say, chasing the Survivor with the EMP, there's the fourth generator. This is not the chase that you want to be in. They will take a tag here most likely, but at what cost? Not to mention, we don't know if there's another gen being worked on. Yeah, it looks like Tap is going to be working on a generator here, so how many hook stages can you get as the Singularity at this point? I don't see a world where you're able to get a 4K here, but can you at least get a 2K with some freshes is the question.
We'll have to wait and see, as Singularity not going for the break there on the Pala, instead trying to mind game. We do see David now being forced outside of the tile. This here will be the down. It looks like this is going to be a fresh hook, mind you. So if they do hook on a Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance, that will regress the most progressed gen by 25%. Though we do see Nia here in the wings waiting for this unhook.
Yeah, worth noting is that that Survivor did have Lucky Break, as the Singularity was having a little bit of a difficult time tracking, and it wasn't because, you know, for lack of, you know, skill. It's just, Lucky Break's tough. Like, as a killer main, Lucky Break is absolutely just frustrating sometimes, and really well done, and looks like they're going to be chasing with the Nia now, who is also fresh, so they are going for the fresh hook, swinging into the back of the Survivors. Must be super frustrating. They get to this pallet now. How do they mind game this pre-dropping, running back around, and that will probably result in a tag unless they hold W? No, even then that will be a tag. Survivor's still on hook, and they're kind of chasing around the hook.
Yeah, but Singularity realizes this is kind of bait. If they pursue this Nia any further, protecting this hook, this is going to be the fifth gen completed, and we now see Tap and Chase dodging the slipstream by jumping into a locker. It's going to exchange it for taking a hit, but it does mean that the Singularity in a worse position, and they are going to be dropping Chase, realizing that this fifth gen is primed and ready.
Absolutely, yeah, they are going to be chasing the ace off of that generator, but with the EMP, they're not going to get a lot of distance. Worth noting is that Nia able to counter the Slobby Butcher as they're healing super fast with a wheel Maggot, so Survivor's just honestly rotating, very efficient, just utilizing every bit of their resources like effectively. Just, I don't know, I can't look at this squad and be like, man, they should change this and do this. They're just playing flawlessly.
Yeah, they're just playing very efficiently, very carefully, very patiently. The thing is, the killer's doing a great job as well, managing the resources, making these chases short, but the Survivors are doing a great job utilizing the counterplay with these EMPs, making it that much more difficult for the Singularity to do much of anything.
Absolutely.
That being said, Tap here at this pallet, Singularity kind of going into their biopod to take a look and see where the Survivors are, and looks like they're going to be jumping back on this gen.
But I say, you've got Ace on this gen in the corner, you got two Survivors on the hill gen, which is about to be completed. Ace probably going to take a hit here, but they are more than happy to, as the fifth gen will be finished here, and now the question is, how many stages can the Survivors get out, and how many stages can the killer deny here? I'd imagine they go and try and find Nia, right? Or they just take, they take Ace here? Yeah,
I think you have to take what you can guarantee, right? This is a guaranteed second hook, additional 2 points in hand. If you can find Nia thereafter, then amazing. But if not, then you need to secure what you can. And, you know, alternatively, you risk a 4-man out. So I think this is the right move by Singularity. We see the X8 here about primed and ready. And yeah, this is going to be the 3-man out, it looks like.
Not to mention, one of those Survivors is fresh, so Survivor is honestly doing a phenomenal job. I think it's going to be a 6-stage 1K. Tap, siding with the killer, saying, Nia, I'm going to body block you in here, but ultimately relents, and yeah, that will be the 3-man out there. Again, I agree, Singularity did a good job, but once you lose that early game pressure and it's on Suffocation Pit, I don't know, it's... Again, we get to see the response, as now Aeternum will also be firing back on the Singularity with their own. And I'm not going to lie, it's going to... Survivor's got a tall order potentially, giving the win condition here.
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, Aeternum is going to just need either a fresh hook on each survivor, a 2k7 hook. I mean, there's a ton of different win conditions available to this singularity. So the survivor's going to have to play absolutely out of their mind. With that being said, we see these survivors sitting on these EMPs quite early, as we saw once again before.
Absolutely. They did find the chase to Nia here, and using the firecracker early, I don't think they got the blind as we didn't see the notification there, but they will be taking chase around the shack, going long wall as well. Oh, it's almost like a bump logic kind of thing, randomly getting the cursor to hit the wall instead, but they are going to be able to get 3 EMPs off. The only survivor is in chase with the EMP now, and it's like Killer's breaking off entirely, going for somebody else.
Yeah, looks like Singularity realizing that committing to this chase might not be in their best interest. Instead, looking around at the other survivors, trying to see where they might be to get another slipstream applied. And I think maybe the thought process is that kind of like with Plague, the survivor with the slipstream is unable to work on a gen with another survivor unless they apply the slipstream to them as well. So maybe that's the thought process of dropping that chase.
It's a very good point, and really good job from this survivor, wasting as much time as possible, not vaulting back, holding W, but I think that's going to be a tag before they get around to this pallet. Yeah, they will take a hit across the pallet. First hook coming in very shortly. What is the progress on the survivors? There's an EMP going off. Is that a ruin?
Yeah, so far,
No.
not a lot of progress on those generators. We see, looks like maybe 2 gens going on right now at less than 25%. So going to be interesting to see here, especially as we do see Scourge Hook paying residence on Zarina's gen. And that was not very well progressed, so Survivor's in a little bit of a pickle here.
Just a bit. Again, I think that down went a little bit earlier than previously, and Survivor's not able to spread out across the suffocation pit here. And honestly, given the win condition, you could probably afford to just camp this, use your biopods to get as much pressure around the map as possible. Not to mention, it looks like, at Shack side there is a pretty close 3-gen.
Yeah, and that 3-gen definitely going to want to be guarded, but once again, like we said earlier, it really comes down to you don't need a lot for this win condition here. You just need to get a, fresh hook on everyone, a 2k7 hook. There's so many different ways to secure victory here. But with that being said, looks like they are content with letting this gen pop off in exchange for Ace progressing to second stage.
Yeah, it makes sense. Obviously, if the killer teleported over here, that means you can take chase, you can get the unhooked, and so Killer just wants to secure that second stage. First gen popping out for the survivors. Looks like, it looks like the 3-gen might have switched up, as now we see a Deja Vu activating for the Zarina here. But now I'm curious, who's going to come in for this unhook?
Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone so far. No sign of the Killer right away. Survivor's back on gens here. No, looks like Killer just hanging out here at the hook. They want to secure the first kill. They realize that all they really need is to secure that 2k if at all possible. So they're content with letting these gens just chug on through bit by bit by bit. Now, I will say, a risky play, especially with the Scourge Hook paying residence in play, allowing these gens to just kind of progress at their own pace.
It's true. It looks like they are going to come in for the hook trade here at the last possible second. Nia going down. That's going to be a Scourge Hook on them, potentially. They need to finish the 3rd gen if they're going to work on it. Looks like they're going to go for the tunnel out, though. There's the drop, trying to get Slipstream on the Ace here, and it looks like they will apply the Slipstream. Teleporting on top of him. There's the pallet break, though. Ace going to be forced to go back into the center here. Looks like Survivor still on the ground, is obviously unbreakable, not allowed against this Killer. Ace doing the best he can to distract the Singularity here, but for how much longer? Oh, there's the hit over the pallet, though.
Yeah, just an unfortunate scenario to say the least. The Ace just unable to escape the grasp of the Singularity, and they are going to be the first survivor sent back to the campfire via the NC. We do see the reset here from the Zarina, though it is slowed down just a little bit from this Mango Stats effect.
And yeah, that Mango Stats effect is going to come into play here, as not able to finish that heal. Singularity coming around the corner. Looks like they're going to be taking chase with the Zarina here at the shack. Again, one more hook here, and they get to camp it out, and that's going to be, a set secured here for Aeternum. Just, again, really tough win condition here for these survivors, but they've done a really good job. I imagine third generator probably being worked on at the moment. Good fake from this arena here. You know, if they had swung through that, they might have actually hit her for how close she was.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, that's one of the things, you don't expect it to work when you go for a swing sometimes, but sometimes it's worth it.
Indeed. Looks like they do finish that third gen. Singularity on the chase with Nia now, taking a hit through the window. Not being able to get that heal off is going to be pretty brutal, as that's going to be first hook coming in for the Nia. And that is 9 points secured for the killer now. Only 3 away from the tie for the set, and then obviously anything more is a win. Survivors, it's tough, but they need to get these last 2 generators done, and they need to get everybody out. Everybody has to leave now.
Yeah, and we saw Scourgehook Pain Resonance again on this gen, and with that gen not even having a cylinder firing, but being the one with hit by Scourgehook, that is a grim scenario.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really tough. Taking chase at the main building now. EMP in hand in case they should need it. Getting the pallets done, and with that, a little bit of distance as well, but obviously not going to matter as the Singularity can just teleport right on over to you. They do get the unhook on the Survivor. It's going to be really, really tough, especially with them still slipstreamed at the moment. They need to use the EMP so that they can't keep teleporting to them, but I don't know if they're going to get a chance to.
Yeah, when that's the biggest thing, right? With the EMP now slowing the Survivor down when they use it, it's definitely not a scenario that you want to kind of risk, but Survivor able to get the pallet stunned there, and looks like they are going to get the EMP off as the Singularity a bit concerned about these last 2 generators.
Looks to be the case. Yeah, we can hear them entering the biopods there. And also worth noting, I'm surprised we actually, with the amount of pallets we're seeing on the Survivors, I'm surprising we're not seeing like an Enduring, because if they're slipstream, you hit Enduring, they get the pallets done, you immediately teleport onto them, break the pallet, and you just continue the chase. Is that a tech? Surely someone's done that.
I mean, it's something that you can do, though it sometimes can be a little bit hit or miss on where you end up teleporting to. That being said, Nia now in chase at the LT wall. Singularity going to be faking out the T-wall, and this here will be the down. Serena trying to come in for the body block for what it's worth, but this here will be the second hook on the Nia. Now, mind you, this isn't necessarily the chase you wanted here for Singularity. Singularity wanted to find a fresh Survivor and camp them out to death. Now, of course, if Nia dies, that's still going to be the 2K, but they're going to need one more hook thereafter.
Indeed. Just, again, really tough. But to be fair, you have the time. Survivors have to work on these generators. EMP are going to have to be used immediately. And you can sit on this gen. Like, do you let the Survivor progress to death, try and get these 2 gens done, or do you have to take rotations here? Or do you accept that it's a really tough win con and just try and, you know, stem the bleeding, get the gens done, and try and leave with as many stages as possible, and then just hope that in set 3 you can win by a larger margin and take home the victory?
Yeah, honestly, it's a hard call, especially as a Singularity guarding this gen as aggressively as they are with this Biopod. We keep on seeing the Singularity stop on by and attempt to tag the Zarina here. Seeing that the Zarina is nearby, I mean, we also see the fact that the Nia is just about to die on hook here. And if that is the case, that might be a sign that survivors are kind of just saying, you know what, we're going to lose this anyways, let's just get as many points as possible in case of a tie scenario in set 3.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case. Looks like they're gonna be breaking off with the chase with Zarina. I'm probably imagining the survivors on a gen, and yeah, they do find the Nancy here. Nancy gonna try and get some distance, not able to finish the generator they're on. There's the Z-Wall Gaming, no Lithe in hand, and yeah, the survivor will be going down here. And it looks like we're going to be probably slugging for the 4K. Survivor in the vicinity too. Oh, no. Yeah, this looks like it's going to be the 4K too, potentially.
That's what it is looking like. That being said, Zarina trying to walk it out here. Singularity in hot pursuit, though. And this here is very likely going to be the final chase. Unless Zarina and the Nancy here can pull something out of left field. But looks like Singularity going to apply the slipstream here on the Zarina. And this here will be, a really good chase here. Zarina trying to hug the wall, trying to avoid the Singularity from being able to get that slipstream, but will take the hit at the window. That overclock and almost family photo getting them a little bit of extra distance. And looks like we see Zarina's kind of walking it out here because of Lucky Break, but Singularity looking around for the biopods. There is the slipstream. and Singularity back in chase with his Arena.
Indeed, looks like Zarina, again, making a lot of distance here. Getting back towards the shack, possibly even losing the killer as that is, in fact, a lucky break coming into play here as they're able to get away and get some distance. Obviously, scenario here is not impossible. Survivor bleeds out, and you deny the killer a lot of points if either one of these survivors are able to bleed out. There's the heal coming in, and Nancy crawling away and around. They might be able to get a reset here, potentially.
Yeah, it's not outside the realm of possibility, but it really does depend on the Singularity's ability to find the Zarina and the Nancy thereafter. I mean, a bleed out here on the Nancy who is fresh, I don't think it matters. I think it matters in the case of a tie set 3, but I don't know. I think that Singularity here really gunning for the 4K, but I think they need to go for the pick here on the Nancy at some point if they can find them.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be the case. Bleeding out in the corner. Singularity does get back in chase with this Arena, though. Not able to get any distance and hide and continue, but there's the live play getting back into the center. And Singularity can't afford that. Again, this Survivor's been throwing every pallet, making the chase last as long as possible. You can deny up to 3 points, potentially, if you bleed out the Nancy here. However, there's the hits. Going back into the center, and I think we might be looking, unless the Survivor can really hide out for the last, minute and a half to the bleed out timer. Yeah, it looks like we are going to be seeing this chase come to an end fairly soon. No pallets left in the middle here.
Yeah, I mean, Singularity has gone through quite the number of resources, but we do find another pallet here instead. Does get the stun on the Singularity to extend things that much longer. About 1 minute left on the clock for the bleed out timer on the Nancy. A fake there from this Arena at the pallet. Singularity just going to be holding W here. And looks like they are going to get that mind game and the down on this Arena. I want to say this is a guaranteed bleed out on the Nancy. Singularity now risking that the Arena does potentially get lost in the mix as well as they hunt for the next minute.
I was about to say, obviously, Singularity did achieve a win here, but you don't want to, bleed out points are nothing to sneeze at. Obviously, there's 3 points not here. I don't think Serena's going to be likely to bleed out, but bear with us, folks, as a... I think they found the Nancy. Yeah, Nodder's coming in. They do find Nancy here in the corner. Unfortunate for the Nancy, and that will be the hook coming in. And now it's just a matter of can Zarina steal that? I don't imagine it's going to be the case, as Singularity has a general idea of where that Survivor went down.
Yeah, and plenty of time to find them too, granted the fact that they are on first hook here. So Singularity has a full minute to find the Zarina, on top of which a then additional 15 seconds, but looks like we will even need to wait for that as Zarina does get found by the Singularity, and that there will be the 4K here for Aeternum's killer. So very well played here in set number 2. But because set 1 was a tie set, we are still going to set 3, folks, where we are going to be seeing a Mastermind from Aeternum versus an Oni from Tremor. So going to be a really interesting trial 5 and 6. I'm very excited for it. Hopefully y'all are too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've seen mirrors all the way up to this point, and now we get to see who is the true king of Cold Tower. As obviously the queen of Cold Tower is just Nurse, right? But is it Mastermind or Oni? Who is the better option here? And I don't know. I am a Mastermind fan, but I have seen Oni put some numbers up on that map, so all comes down to that. But with that said, we are watching the survivors, just die out here a little bit on the hook, as obviously no Kobe's are allowed. There is no Deli in play because it is the Singularity that is a banned perk against them. So, for the moment, just hanging out here as we wait out these hook timers. And honestly, Singularity played really well. They knew what their win condition was, and survivors tried. They tried their best, but there was an early down, which resulted in an early kill because you didn't want to go and you needed to get your gens done, and they did their best, but again, just a really tough win condition to rise to.
Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, though, we are going to get set up for this next lobby and jump.
All right, everyone, welcome back to trial number 5. We are entering set number 3. Aeternum is piloting the Mastermind now with 50% more frame sharing, as we're going to head on over to the David here. Servers get the spread out, and we are on the Cold Tower. It is the battle for Cold Tower supremacy, as is not a mirror match this time, and I'm very curious to see who takes the lead here.
Ooh, no bounce landing from the Nia there. In fact, just going to be dropping down, trying to make use of this pallet to the best of their ability. That being said, Mastermind in hot pursuit, trying to vault, and will end up breaking the pallet with their, I want to say, what add-on is that, Rue? That is the...
It's the Eerie add-on,
photo.
right?
Yeah, the lab
Yeah. Yeah, really good, honestly, good add-on, and I'm happy to see it. However, that will be a hit. Pallet being dropped. Going for a spicy vault. I mean, it's a good way to zone. Keep the survivor guessing. Let him get as little distance as possible. You either go for the vault, you go for the break-in. Survivor's going to have to waste as much time as humanly possible here. Dropping the pallet, going around the edge. Oh, they got caught. Oh!
Yeah, but it's going to be jumping into the locker, trying to ensure that they are going to force the pick and waste as much time as possible. That being said, Mastermind going to go walk past that hook there, and there is a reason for that, friends, for I do believe this to be a Scourge Hook Pain residence.
Very likely, as, yeah, like you said, Killer completely skipped over a hook there. You know what that means, and it's not too uncommon. I mean, it's Wesker. It's allowed on him. Why would you not bring Pain Res? It's just such a good perk. Even after it's a... I am hesitant to call it a nerf because, honestly, I don't really feel like it ever was. Also, for the people coming in after the unhook immediately, David now broken. Survivor that much less tunnelable as, looks like they went upstairs to pop the gen on Ace, and Ace with bounce landing, able to get away. Yeah, looks like they're back in chase with, Nia here and David. Can't tell who's body blocking and protecting who anymore. David is like, here, you gotta heal, and now Nia's taking a body block for him.
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, extends the chase a little bit. We see David breaking off, but Nia getting caught there on the corner. Wesker going to go round, and looks like they are going to try and avoid the dash. They do successfully do so, so fantastic play there by the Nia as first gen popping off here for the survivors.
About to say, if the killer had the egg add-on, that might have worked out in their favor, but the Nia just heads up mind game there coming in as they will take a hit over the pallet. And looks like Wesker going to go immediately for the pick here. However, oh, hit him with the DS, baby, and oh my goodness, extending this chase even more so now. Really well done. However, Wesker with power back in hand, but they do have a safe pallet, a fantastic use of the power. Maybe even be able to get a second gen off here for the survivors as Nia still has this pallet to work with.
Yeah, but this chase can only last so long before the Nia does get hindered, and the double back into the Wesker. They had the slow vault, the Wesker had no clue, and then just ends up vaulting back into their face.
It happens from time to time. However, we see two survivors working on the center gen together, and they do finish the third one. Survivors, honestly, that DS might have been the single most valuable DS I've seen all season. That gave them 2 generators.
Yeah, no, honestly, really well done there, making great use and using it at the very last moment, too. It only had, like, maybe 10 seconds left. That being said, Dave just sitting here on the gen. We see another survivor kind of running around Nancy on a gen. Ace, the only one out and about, and Wesker seems to be wanting to progress Nia there to death hook.
It makes the most sense. You might as well get a survivor out of the game. However, you're going to lose some gens for it, and I think it's because they have a deep... I don't know what their gen setup is, but we see the one across the map. I think otherwise, we see a lot of gens on Cold Tower side finished. I think that the killer has just enough of a 3-gen that can chase a survivor off of the third one.
Yeah, it's potentially the case, but we are going to definitely see this gen pop off. Ace going to be disengaging with it, maybe trying to set up for a unhook here, but time is ticking down. I think it is too late. I think you're right, and I think there's going to set up for another gen here. Wesker going to be dropping off as Nia is impacted entity, rather to campfire via the entity. Nancy just kind of, you know, just hanging out here for a little bit, checking, seeing if this gen is worth working on, but not going to be jumping on it, interestingly enough. Instead, going to be joining the Ace here with the Deja Vu.
Yeah, I was about to say, we do see with the Deja Vu that they do have a 3-gen at the Shack side at 6. It looks like, I would say that's 6, 9, and maybe 5. Not sure, but regardless, looks like Survivor is found here. Nancy going to be dropping that pallet, going back into the Coal Tower, but that does mean that the Ace is able to work on that gen. They do have the Deja Vu. They're taking a hit, running into the back here. It looks like they might even have a lucky break. Huge boost for the Survivor, but not enough as they do get slammed into the side there. Ace coming off the gen, which means that only David is able to work on a gen at the moment. and that looks like it's probably going to be a pain res, as I think that was the first hook that was used in the game.
Yeah, I do believe that is the case. I mean, that will be 25% off the most progressed gen. We do see Ace immediately back in chase, though they do have a balanced landing in hand, allowing them to get a whole lot of distance there. But going back up to the top of main, a risky play, as balanced landing only helps you once there, friend. So Wesker going to be in hot pursuit.
I was about to say, yeah. I mean, it makes a little bit of sense, especially when the Wesker decided to, use their power to get up there. You get a little bit of distance while, Wesker's in cooldown coming from the power. They do get the unhook on the Nancy coming around the corner, and that will be the beautiful slam against the wall as, again, Wesker very precise, turning as they go. And it looks like Nancy in the distance running away. David is on a gen. Curious if it's going to be enough, though, as another pain res is likely to come in here. Yeah, it looks like they're already leaving their generator preemptively, like, knowing that's going to come in. First hook on the Ace now as the, Killer's spreading the love around to different survivors with those first hooks, and 6 survivors are going to be stealthing it out while that survivor sits around on the hook. Survivor Nancy also still hasn't been reset or healed yet. Lucky Break slowly ticking away.
See, honestly, what I'm most concerned about here for Nancy is the hindered status effect that's going to be coming into play here in just a few moments, meaning that any future chases, unless they're able to cleanse and inoculate themselves, is going to be that much harder. And there it is. There is the hindered status effect now applied.
But to say, unfortunately, it's really weird because obviously, like Plague, the counterplays, you walk and you can, deny that ticking up. But Wesker just passively ticks up the entire time, which is pretty savage.
Yeah, it definitely is one of those interesting things. I definitely like to see maybe some change in that, because I really do love how Plague's power kind of interacts, and there's a little bit of counterplay. A huge mind game, though, from the Wesker, but David going to be baiting out the window again. David with a fantastic chase here, as looks like Ace has now been healed. I imagine Nancy will follow suit. Wesker almost able to make that corner, and actually still gets the dash.
That is a really good job from both sides. David mind gaming, but Wesker up to tune on the mind game. They do get the unhook on the Nancy, and we see the heal, but not the inoculation. So Nancy's still in a bit of a bind if Wesker's able to find them. But David going down over here at the 5 o'clock. First hook coming in for them as well, and I imagine both these survivors on a generator at the moment. On the
separate? Looks like they are on separate chance, and now this is smart. They know David is on first hook, but Wesker actually bringing them to basement, it seems. And we do see a survivor kind of running in a different direction. I believe that's the Nancy who may have inoculated themselves, and trying to see where the Ace is right now. Looks like Ace also trying to set up for... No, that's a flashlight in hand, not a inoculation. So they're in a bit of a pickle right now, because even well healed, a single dash will put him on the shoulder. That there is that pop goes the weasel we had speculated about earlier, now regressing that gen by 30% of its current progression.
Which, I mean, it didn't even have that much to begin with, so not the full effect. And getting the unhook here, however, both survivors in the basement. Now Wesker body blocking both of them in. Nancy and David both, honestly, it's a, oh, but they actually managed to sink through. That's going to be huge for David. However, they will take the slam against Nancy. Nancy also going to get a vault through and run away. However, you got both survivors injured now. Ace is fully infected. A renewal coming out on David, which is going to be kind of clutch there, as they're going to be able to get away and not be able to be tunneled. However, Nancy in a huge amount of trouble here. No pallet, and that will be the down coming in. Ace has been on the gen the whole time. Looks like we do see the inoculation coming in from David. Are they able to finish the gen in time? There is no pain res on the survivor, to my knowledge. I think they've been used already.
I believe you are correct. That being said, David kind of trying to bait the Mastermind here, unable to do so successfully, as Mastermind instead going to be hot in pursuit on the Ace, as we do see that unhook there on the Nancy almost immediately. Without this inoculation, Ace is just one bound away from being put on the shoulder of the Mastermind, but Mastermind actually going to drop Chase instead, it looks like.
But I say it does make a little bit of sense. The gen, yeah, but I say you got to go back and pop that generator. It did have a good amount of progress. Ace just leading him away into Chase, saying, "Yeah, I'm exposed to your power. Just come and get me." And then Nancy and David descend like a swarm of ravenous vultures on that generator and finish it. So good heads up play from both sides here, and Wesker not going to give to him for free. Now chasing David at the 4 lane here. Gen still got a decent amount of progress on it, but if you're taking chase at it, no server's gonna be working on it at the moment. Ace still fully infected, and Nancy's still injured, so Survivor is on the pressure end here, and getting a nice throw into this, but not going to end up injuring them. I don't think they got the, the Euro bend that they were looking for there.
Yeah, unfortunately not. And also for those of you who did miss the full build reveal for this killer, it is in fact a Corrupt Intervention, Pop Goes the Weasel, and Scourge Hook Pain Residence. That fourth perk, though, still a little bit of an unknown, so we'll have to wait and see what endgame perk that is, as I'd be surprised if it were anything else.
Let's say, adrenaline on the David! Oh my goodness, that is huge for these survivors, able to get a survivor. Honestly, that means that could be a 2-man out. David was going to get hooked, and they can block the window. Where are they on the exit gates at the moment? Is it no way? I imagine it's 4% no way, right? You don't... Maybe it's no way out? I think it's no way.
It is, in fact, a no way out. I'd imagine these survivors are very well aware of it at this point, but it's in fact a no way out. Going to be slowing things down quite significantly, especially as they do have fresh hooks on each survivor, so that's 60 seconds of entity blockers on those exit gates, though David doing a fantastic job keeping this Wesker busy, but not long enough, as David does end up going down. And I believe this here is looking more and more like a 2K here for this Wesker.
But that's the thing, it's like if he, I feel like if they had no way, it would have been absolutely damaging, because then you get 4%, that chase would have gone a lot quicker. I don't know. It's hindsight 2020, but it seems to have worked out all right for them so far. Survivors are stealthing out, but this gives survivors a chance to come in for the unhook here. They could be 3 outs.
Potentially, but I don't know. I think it's looking more like a 2-man here. Going to be really difficult for survivors to get David from their location to the unhook, or to the exit gate. We see Nancy kind of hanging around, but looking like they might be cutting their losses here.
You do want to give your own killer the best chance here, so it does make sense. And yeah, they are going to take the outs here, leaving poor David on the hook. However, David did a really good job using that. That adrenaline was absolutely clutch there from the survivor side. Just phenomenally done. And I think that's a 3-stage out, as I think Ace had only been hooked once.
Yep, I do believe that is the case. But
all right, everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. It is the bronze match. It is Trial 6. And we got the Oni coming out here. It is all or nothing. They have to absolutely slaughter these survivors to try and come out ahead here, as a decent regen at the crypt. Immediately finding a survivor, too. That is the early hit that every Oni loves to have. And no lucky break either. And that's going to be plenty of blood orbs. Wait, there's no Shattered Hull.
Yeah, surprising enough, I was looking at that too. There's in fact instead an Akito's Crutch and Lion Fang. We've seen this before, where Shattered Hull has kind of taken a step back, and it's not necessarily the guaranteed go-to add-ons for the Oni anymore.
It's very interesting. I guess they prefer just the sheer lethality of their power instead of, the chance of, being able to get it early on. They did get an early hit, so probably Shattered Hull wouldn't have made much of a difference this match as of right now. They do get their power pretty quickly, and this is a much more lethal power. I think it's a full 40 seconds of power, if I remember correctly.
I want to say you are correct with that extension in time. Oni looking around, trying to find where these survivors are. This is one of the things about Oni. Sometimes you're going to be able to catch the survivors off guard, and you're going to be able to get this down. And they do get the down without getting the vacuum on the pallet. That is huge. And looking like they're going to be going for the slug play here, wanting to go a step further. And Oni gonna be demon dashing around, sees the survivor there, sees the mech get through the way, and will get the pallet break, but will not get the down, as they will make their way back into this jungle gym.
About to say, I do know for a fact this is a tried and true Oni main, as I have seen some nasty flicks from this killer. It looks like they will be using their power to get back to the survivor on the ground. They do get picked up, however. Honestly, despite Lion's Fang extending that power, it doesn't feel like it's a super long power, all things considered.
I mean, it's relatively short, and also, if I'm not mistaken, it decreases not just based on time, but based on usage of the power. So, like, Demon Dash as well as the Insta-Down, I think, actually, take out a chunk of the power. I'd have to, double-check to make sure, but I believe that is not just time-based.
True, I forget that the hit itself does take a chunk of the power away, which I don't fully understand, but, that's okay. Maybe it's to discourage the slugging behavior, but ultimately they do get back in chase. Survivors have healed up a little bit there. There's the heal on the Claudette as well, taking chase at the Shack here. They probably will have their power in hand very shortly. No gens have fired just yet, and now that I'm looking at this build, this is a Oni enjoyer build. That's all I can say.
It definitely is, but I'm really surprised not to see a Bamboozle. We saw that vault there,
True.
no Bamboozle, especially at Shack here, especially at Coal Tower. You'd think Bamboozle would be a no-brainer pick, but instead, not something that you guys can actually really see, and the survivors might not even notice, but there's a Monitor and Abuse in play, which is definitely a strange one, but might catch these survivors off guard as we do see the Oni get the down at the pallet for the Claudette. We do also see, I think that was Infectious Fright popping off there, as Oni does get notified where these survivors are upon a down. It's not necessarily an info perk, but if the survivors play a little bit too carelessly, the Oni's going to be able to get a whole lot of value from it.
So this is what I mean by an Oni enjoyer build. I don't see monitored abuse in comp very often because you get call-outs. The survivors know where you're going to be at any given time. But the bonus here is that your terror radius is larger when you're in chase for the down for Infectious Fright to get a little bit more distance and have a good chance of finding a survivor. I think it's a... I want to say Monitor Muse gives you a 40-meter terror radius in chase. Getting a survivor down, we do see one going down at Coal Tower for the first gen. Unhook's coming in. Oni going to try and come over there and possibly interrupt it. Looks like body block coming in. They will get the body block. Not going to get the hit through onto the tap here, but they will pursue the tap regardless.
Yeah, really aggressive play here by the Oni. Scratchbar's getting kind of turned around, not able to get the break there on the pallet. Maybe instead faking it. Will get the instant break there at Shack, and looks like they are going to try and commit to this. A little bit of mind game there at Shack. Tap at the corner. Going to go for the flick. Just not able to get the hit, but I think they get the... No, they don't because of the fatigue.
The fatigue from the power coming at the last possible minute. Very well done to this Tab, making just a little bit of time. Again, it was split-second decisions there. Tab jumping into the corner to avoid the flick. As you can do a 180 flick, I don't see too many 270 flicks.
Yeah, that is fair. That is fair. But second gen popping off there for these survivors. Oni holding their own, trying to go for these slug plays. We see 3 survivors currently injured. So Oni definitely going to get their power soon. We do see the down there at the window. Infectious Fright showing the Oni where another survivor is. Looks like they're going to go for the slug again. And going to pop off their power as we do see the third gen pop off alongside it.
About to say, get that third gen done. Looks like they're going to the long wall. Looks like live play coming in from the survivor. Here comes the flicker on the edge, but vacuuming into the pallet instead. They are in chase of the Dwight.
Uh-oh.
Oh, are they? Oh, is it a... Are they stuck? No,
I'm not sure. That is a fantastic question. This would be a new bug as far as I know.
I have not seen this before.
I have not either. I was thinking maybe a DC. Survivors still playing. No DC here. Oni just kind of hanging out with the survivors. Survivors saying, well, maybe if we blind him, it'll fix him.
About to say, I'm not sure. I know that I know like 2 seasons ago they had internet issues. I don't know if it's come up back again. I think it's a bug. I think they're just stuck.
It's not out of the realm possibility. So I guess now is a good of a time as we continue to investigate the situation. We will, as we investigate the situation, it's probably the best time to inform you guys that though the win condition for this trial, is what was it from the mastermind set? If we're looking at the score, I believe it was a 3K 1 hook more or less with 5 gens completed. But even with a 4K at 0 gens, Tremor was unable to win this set, or rather win this match, as the point differential in set number 2 was just a little bit too large. So with that being said, that there looks to be the end of the match, and we did confirm not a bug, just a decision on the part of the Oni, as we see the Oni here. Okay. I guess they may have just kind of come to the conclusion that the match was all but ended. Unfortunate as honestly watching Osaka and their flicks on Oni are always top notch.